In this episode, we get gas aliens. In the next episode, we get gas aliens.
Oh, excuse me. Oh!
Having trouble with your gas?
Hello there. Welcome to class. I'll be your teacher of all things science fiction. My name is Cademan David, or as Lex Luthor calls me, Mr. Cow. Grab a gas lantern and your hardback cover of A Christmas Carol, 'cause tonight we are looking into the Doctor Who episode entitled The Unquiet Dead. Now, to give you full disclosure, I wasn't really looking forward to reviewing this episode. It's not my favorite episode, by any means. But that begs the question, why don't I like this episode? It has a lot of things I should like. I like the setting, I like the idea of the gas ghost, and I like Charles Dickens being there. Charles Dickens is pretty cool. And also, I like how in this episode, they don't upplay him too much. Like, the episode with Vincent van Gogh, which I reviewed, check it out. It's a good episode, yes, but it's very much a Vincent van Gogh episode, whereas I like this episode because it isn't a Charles Dickens episode, but instead it is a ghost episode starring Charles Dickens. And I think I like that a lot more than how they upplayed and oversold Vincent van Gogh in his episode. Though I do like that episode as well. I think the reason I don't really care for this episode so much is because it's just so dry. It feels more like an episode from the original Doctor Who, Classic Who. Because a lot of those stories are very long and very dry. In this episode, we follow the Doctor and Rose as they go back and meet Charles Dickens, as well as the witch from the first episode of Merlin. Maybe I should review that show. That would be pretty cool. And I did say in the very beginning of this YouTube channel,
and maybe I'll even touch on things like fantasy as well as science fiction.
The monster of this episode is really cool. It's these ghosts that are made out of gas, and they lost their true bodies in the Time War, which I think is pretty cool. And I love the fact that the Time War was slowly introduced over time. If I had one complaint, I kind of wish they would have held it out more. Sort of name-dropping and referencing it a little bit more before you sort of get all of the details. Or not all of the details. I don't think you ever really get all the details of the Time War. But I think they could have played it out more before just sort of telling you what it's all about. And it wasn't entirely a joke, me calling the character Gwyneth a witch, because even in this universe, she does have magical powers. She has the ability to communicate with the gas ghosts, because she was raised above a temporal rift. The Cardiff Rift, which will, of course, become sort of an important part of both Doctor Who and Torchwood lore. And a little headcanon moment here. In my head, the Cardiff Rift was actually created as a result of the Time War. I don't think there's any way that that's actually technically canon with Doctor Who. I don't know if there's anything that talks against it, that's just sort of what my head wants to say it is. I kind of like the idea of this character of Gwyneth who's supernaturally gifted being raised above the rift. I kind of like, I say it time and time again, but I kind of like when Doctor Who gets a little bit scary and a little bit supernatural. I enjoy that kind of stuff, and like sort of the gray area between what is supernatural and what is science fiction I like a lot. Like I said though, I think all of the ideas in this episode are fun. It's just so dry. Like, I need some milk with my cookies, Gatus. It's also kind of weird. Charles Dickens is the only character that really carried over from this era into the Matt Smith era. Just for a one-off sort of gag that I actually really like a lot.
It topped last year's Christmas special.
And can you tell us anything about it?
Well, all I can say now is that it involves ghosts and the past and the present and the future all at the same time.
Oh, we love a ghost story.
Which is my main complaint about the Matt Smith era, is that not enough carried over from this era of the show into that era of the show. But, I've complained enough about the lack of world building in Doctor Who on this channel, so I'll move on. With that all being said, I did manage to find a moral to take away from this episode. And that's when the Doctor said this.
Can it be that I have the world entirely wrong?
Not wrong. There's just more to learn.
You see, Charles has this breakdown where he says, is it possible that I could have had the world all wrong? And a lot of people have that, where they refuse to believe in certain things because they refuse to believe that their base understanding might be wrong. And I think it's neat that the Doctor sort of replies by saying, no, it's not that you have everything wrong, it's just that you're missing important parts. And this is what I would say, me being a Christian, to the atheist, is I would say, no, it's not that you have everything wrong, it's not that science isn't true, it's just you're missing a key factor in your science. And also, I love the line from Charles at the very end, where he says there's more things in heaven and on earth that you won't understand.
There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Even for you, Doctor.
And I think that's sort of true, that we ought to have this modesty about what we actually know, and we ought to have an understanding that we're never gonna have a full understanding of everything. So that's my sort of moral from this story, is just realizing that we don't have that full understanding, and there's always more to discover, and that can bring us excitement, just like it did Mr. Dickens at the end of this episode.
You cheered up exceedingly. This morning I thought I knew everything in the world. Now I know I've just started. All these huge, wonderful notions, Doctor. I'm inspired. I must write about them.
He was sad in this episode because he thought he knew everything. He thought he lived his life and he's done everything. But then it actually lit him up when he discovered that there was so much more to discover. With that being said, that's where I'm gonna end this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something that you can take away from this, whether that's just a laugh or a bit of just enjoyment, feeling a bit of community, just hearing someone else talk about Doctor Who if you're a big fan of Doctor Who. And if you're a big fan of Star Trek, I'll put my Star Trek playlist up there at the end of this video. And I will put a Star Wars playlist right there at the end of this video. So, thank you so much for watching. Class dismissed. Extra credit for anyone who hits the like button or hits the subscribe button. Automatic A+. Class dismissed. I will see you later. Live long and prosper.